honestly, 90% of people don't need a financial advisor. It's about the habit that you're building, it's not about the amount that you save. You should do your research when it comes to investing any sort of funds, especially if you invest them through apps. And no Malaysian problem, it's a government problem across the world. Let's be honest, it's so much harder to get motivated to actually do something than to get demotivated to do nothing. And oh my God, I want the latest phone and the latest laptop, let's go and buy them and review them. Maybe it's going to be fine, but in case it's not, we have to make sure that we're ready for it.
There's always unknown.
Curiosity is the key to the imagination.
My girlfriend podcast, let's do this.
Dream the impossible dream. Welcome to Mike Helfman's Curiosity Podcast.
I own one of her paintings. It's not actually a painting. It's a black marker of Yuna, and it's all in musical notes. You know Yuna, the singer.
Yeah.
I bought it at a charity auction like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, like 12 years ago. I was bidding against Francis Yo, Tansri Francis Yo from the head of YTL.
Oh, okay.
He was buying all the paintings, and I really wanted this one. And the guy's like, hey, let me go talk to Francis, see if he backs off on the bidding a little bit. So I ended up with that. I still have it. I think it's like tripled in value since I bought it, or more. So that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting because nowadays you're getting pitched more of painting ideas, go and invest in art, go and invest, I don't know in your world, but in my world, I have brokers who are coming to me and say, oh, go and sell rare whiskey. Yeah, but rare whiskey, you need to know something about it because otherwise it's just a gamble. Yeah. I know nothing about it. You as the client probably know nothing about it. So what you're buying, you're just buying a nice story.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I wanted to kind of invest in it for a while as like an alternative investment with the whole AI thing. Like I think hard assets could potentially be a good investment. Like
fungible
assets. Yes, paint, art, real estate, collectibles, cards, sculpture, stuff like that, right? Rare minerals, gold. But particularly things made by humans. I think that could also be something interesting in the future. Like maybe not, near term, but 10 years, 20 years down the line, like stuff made by humans with love from humans. I think it'll have a premium value.
I like how you reiterate made by humans, for humans, because yes, you are right. In the age of AI, everything can be used, manipulated, and distorted in such a way that you don't really know what's been human touch, especially now for the last couple of years, right? Yeah. With all the code that's being written. Yeah. I'm talking with friends that are programmers for big companies, and they're saying that 90% of their work is prompt engineering and AI. Yeah. They don't have to write code anymore. There's no such thing as writing code, and where they were able to ship 5,000 lines, 10,000 lines of code a shift a day, now they're able to do 90,000.
Right.
So the minimum 9 times more a day. And yeah, it's debugging and everything else. So you come down to, okay, what's fungible? What do I know? It's actually been made by humans. And if you remember the way how it's been sold to us, the AI, oh, don't worry, the creative side is not going to be hit. And that was the first part that was demolished. Look, ask anyone who's on Fiverr.
Yeah. I can't believe that was such a misstep. Like, everybody deliberately thought that all the blue-collar workers were going to get wiped out first, but then it ended up being the white-collar workers that are going to be wiped out first. I mean, McKinsey's saying 70% of white-collar jobs by 2030. I think it might even be more. I mean, so it's pretty wild. Are we rolling, by the way?
Yes, we are.
I have a small theory on that.
Okay.
Tractors alone haven't replaced humans. Humans with tractors have replaced loads of humans.
Right.
Where you needed 1,000 people to go and take care of the land, now you need 5. But you need mechanics, you need people who build the tractors, so you need an entire infrastructure. I guess in the moment of change, everyone is afraid. If you're looking at calculators, when calculators were invented, teachers were saying that the kids will be dumb because they will never use their brain. But in reality, calculator turned out to be a very good thing. That's something that has been used for 100 years and is going to be used moving forward. Here I'm talking about electronic calculators, right? Of course, there will be two sides of AI. If we just lay back and say, I want to live in the dystopian world or where AI is doing everything for me, you start asking yourself, okay, but what's the actual value? What drives you to get out of bed? If you have everything done for you, what motivates you every day to just get out of bed and go and do something?
Passion. It should be passion. I think it's going to be passion. I hope so. But a lot of people there don't have passion. You know, a lot of people are just drones to the phone, drones to the TV. You know, they're just brainwashed. They're just going to be the money spenders. They'll be the consumers, because that's what the society is creating, is consumers, right?
And exactly, that's the 90%. The consumer side is 90%. And people just want to show up to work, plug their computer, or do their job, whatever the job is, get paid, go home.
Right.
They
So
want
what
to
do
be
they do
innovators.
when they don't have a job anymore?
That's the question, right? Because what AI is going to displace all of them, or big part of the admin jobs. I will take myself as an example. I don't need someone to log into my meetings, to take notes, and to send me an email with a summary afterwards, because I have AI.
Right.
AI doesn't complain that I have meetings at 4 a.m. or 10 p.m., doesn't ask for sick days, show up on Saturday and Sunday. And it costs me $10 a month.
Yeah. Greatest thing. And before we get into that, we'll talk about the kind of meetings that you were having. I want to introduce people to you. This is Ciprian Bratu, friend of mine. Hope I got that right.
Yeah, you actually got it very right.
He is a money manager, a financial coach, a generalist of all things, great conversationalist, which is why he's agreed to sit here with me today. So yeah, let's jump back into it. I mean, let's talk AI and finance, right? So how are you using AI in finance?
I think there are two sides of this. One is how I use it from a company perspective, how I use it to make my life and the people that work for me lives easier. And one is from a client perspective. How can you use it yourself to make your finances work better? From my personal perspective is, and how I'm trying to make the company more efficient, is simple. You can scale in two ways. You either hire more people, or the people that you already have in your team, they're more efficient. By hiring more people, you go through all the recruitment, training, and everything else. By making your people more efficient, you basically everyone works, expands, and is like on steroids. So from that point of view, it's quite simple. Okay, what sort of automations can I bring in? What sort of links can I do in the way how we interact with customers, and how can we make our life so much easier? And the easiest way for you to understand is, before I was able to build systems to do this, you need to have a person who's handling just customer care. After that, you need to set up systems where that person also remembers to go and ask clients, customers, okay, what do you like, what you don't like? If it's a positive approach, okay, are you willing to go and review our page, just give us an honest feedback? Now all of this is automated through a bunch of emails and inputs, WhatsApps, and it's automated because the systems allow us to do that, which means that we don't have to hire 1, 2, 3 people to do these sort of jobs, right? I was saying earlier, the meeting part, where you simply just have a third person join your meeting. It's strictly confidential. The data can be split only to me or to both of us. It's never public. So in that way, you just make your life a bit easier. And for me as a founder, it makes my life easier also, because I don't have to manage 50 people, I can manage 5. So I think it is important from that point of view. On the second part, which is client related, honestly, 90% of people don't need a financial advisor. You need to start. It's about the habit that you're building, it's not about the amount that you save. And let me back that up. I've worked with people who earn tremendous amount of money on a monthly basis or yearly basis. Here I'm talking close to $1 million. But also their spending habits are keeping up with them. In my field, we call it lifestyle inflation, where, oh, okay, you don't earn 100 grand a year, you earn 200 grand, so you can't drive a Toyota, you need to drive a Porsche. And it is our fault, but it isn't at the same time, because we have all these big companies behind that are spending billions and billions of dollars every year to learn the psychology and what makes each and every one tick, so you go and spend more. What I'm saying is that with the AI, nowadays you can just go and say, okay, this is me, this is my situation. I'm 29-year-old, we're in Malaysia, I make 7,000 ringgit a month. This is how much I spend, this is my expense. Okay, let's break it down. Can I save anything if I make 7,000 ringgit and I spend 7,000 ringgit? Where can I make any sort of cuts? Right? Do you need a brand new car? No, you can. I have a second-hand car myself. It's okay. But this sort of lessons, unfortunately, they haven't been taught in school, and it's not something that it happens in Malaysia.
So what would you say then for a young Malaysian, somebody just starting out, getting into the workforce, graduated university, graduated, high school, whatever? What advice would you give them on how they can start saving for retirement and giving them financial advice? But it's not financial advice.
Yeah, it's not financial advice. It's not the amount of money that you save, it's the habit that you're building. Because the moment when you just finish school and you go to work, you barely make enough money to live. And you're starting, okay, how can I live? How can I start saving and investing on this? Let's look at the average salary in Malaysia, in KL, probably something like 2,500, 3,000 ringgit. Save 50 ringgit. Put 50 ringgit out of your 2,500 ringgit a month, put 50 ringgit on side. It's not going to make you a millionaire, but the habit that you are implementing, the whole idea is when you're 25, you earn little. As you start building your career and you build more experience, you start earning more money. The habit that you're building when you're young, ideally the parents will teach children even before they start working. And out of their weekly allowance, monthly allowance, they will be able to take a part and put it towards some sort of investment, where the kids learn the lesson from a young age. And coming back to what you were saying, I think learning how to save first, and once you start accumulating a small amount of money, rather than keeping in a bank account or getting the itch to go and spend it, look, okay, what sort of funds can I go and purchase? You can look at Malaysia. Now there are apps, I'm not going to name any because I don't endorse any of them, but there are apps that allows you to go and look for an easy way of investing. Always make sure that you're looking who's backing up that app. If it just came through your Instagram feed as an ad, do your research. Don't just go and put 500 ringgit in there or 1,000 ringgit in there. Just make sure that you actually go and look who's backing that up. Are they regulated? Is Bank Negara behind it? What's happening? Rather than just go and put some money in. It's the same thing with crypto. You have so many crypto apps that everyone falls prey for. And the reason for that, or I believe that the main reason for that is because everyone wants to be rich today. Nobody wants to be rich tomorrow. Everyone wants to be a millionaire by the end of the week. And that's not possible. The average millionaire across the world is 57. So if I try to be a millionaire by the end of the week, I have a much higher percentage of risk.
I want to add to something you said, right? From a financial standpoint, especially for young people, right? With AI coming out now, and yes, you may only be able to save a little bit, but I think that now is the best time in history to start a business. It's the easiest time in history to start a business. With the tools that you have at your disposal with ChatGPT, Lovable, Replete, Gemini, all of these AI tools can help you start a digital business faster and easier than anybody. So while you're working that job that you graduated university from, also do your side hustle at night. You might be saving a couple of bucks here. If you can do it, that's great, but earn some more. Use that extra time to earn more money. I think that'll help you as well.
You are right. I want to add to that. As you start a side project, if your goal is to be rich, you are 99% sure you're going to fail. If you start a side project because you love it, a podcast, a recording, a website, services, SaaS, whatever it's going to be, and you start because you're curious about it, and you keep at it, even in the days when you don't feel like, you are destined to make money. If you if your only drive is money, the moment when you hit the first hurdle, you'll say, but this is too hard, it's not for me. If you're passionate about it, or if it's your hobby, if you don't do it for money and it's something that you like doing anyway, then you're destined to make money, because the whole idea in making money is, okay, how many hurdles are we able to tolerate in order to reach our goal? If the goal is to make money, you're not going to be able to tolerate too many, because life is hard and career is hard and entrepreneurship is hard. Whichever path, sitting on the sofa is hard. Whichever path you're about to take is going to be hard. It's just, you have to choose your heart. And if it doesn't, if you don't have passion for it, it's not going to pull you when you feel like it's not really working well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of the younger generation have failed to realize, that how hard life is and how many hurdles there are, because everything has been given to them so easily in terms of information, right? You didn't have to earn a lot of this knowledge that they've been able to accumulate in such a short amount of time. So yes, life is hard, it's difficult, but that's what makes it challenging. That's what makes it worth living, right? And I want to say why I say now is the best time to be an entrepreneur. And not only the best time, but it's imperative that you do, because of our previous conversation, AI taking over the jobs, okay? You know, make your money now. Make your money in the next 5 to 10 years, because in 10 years, there might not be an opportunity for many people to make money. You might be living on universal basic income. That's a reality. That's a fact. It's going to be a totally different world. And I'm a little bit, concerned for it. Yeah. But I really like what you said earlier about the tractor analogy, right? You build, the tractor, it takes one man to plow a field. Yeah. You took over 20 men's jobs, but then those 20 guys can learn how to maintain, service, and build the tractor. So we're going to see a shift in jobs, right? And then again, that ties back into what I said about fungible assets, because I think fungible assets and I think human-to-human service is going to be a premium in the next decade or two. I mean, you're already seeing it with the wellness trend, right? So massages, business coaches, mentorship, therapy, just workout, people who are like fitness coaches, anybody who's one-to-one. I think human interaction is going to be at a premium in the next, as we continue on this path, this materialist path of creating machines and creating a digital world. I
want to challenge you on this. You're thinking this because you grew up same like me, outside, playing in New York with a ball until the lights were turning on the street and you had to turn up home. The new generation is afraid to open the door if someone knocks, because it might be a human behind. What I'm saying is that I'm afraid for my daughters. I have 2 daughters, 3 and 5 months old. They have to learn in school to get ready for jobs that don't exist yet.
Right.
All right? The new generation is so comfortable texting rather than picking up the phone and making a call. This is going to be very awkward for someone who never experienced it before. And I don't mean having a conversation in a podcast, I simply mean having a conversation face to face. It's so much easier to hide behind an email. So what you're saying, massage, yes, is going to be important. Coaching, AI can do it. Mentorship, AI can do it. Why should you speak with a person when you can speak with a robot, and you've been speaking with robots for the last 20 years? So if you think it from that perspective, where all your life you grew up with some sort of device around you that been playing music, telling you the weather, the news, interact with you, tell the recipe, how will that future look like?
Well, I think people who are going to be like, you're basically talking about like incel culture, right? Like particularly in males, these guys who are too afraid to, meet women, or we'll use women as an analogy, right? And they stay in their home and they're on the computer all day, they're texting, they're hiding behind, names, and they're trolling people on the internet, right? Those people are weak, I think. Those are people that haven't overcome hurdles. Those are people that need to face the challenges and the fears that they have and overcome them, And the fact that those challenges haven't been presented to them is quite. It's too bad. You know, I mean, is that the parents' fault? I don't know. Is that society's fault? I mean, these are questions that I'm asking. But when I go back to saying human-to-human services is going to be important, human-to-human services are going to be premium. It's going to be expensive. Those are the people going to be making the most money, is what I'm saying, right? So the majority of the population most likely are going to be dealing with robots, exactly like you said. You go to a fast food place, you even go to a fast casual restaurant, it's going to be robots making your food in the kitchen. Yeah. It's going to be, you know, an iPad that you have to order from. But when you go to a high-end restaurant, it's going to be people, yeah. Right? And I think those people who are able to overcome those fears are going to be the successful people in life. And those are the people that will be able to afford to pay for that human-to-human service and be able to feel something real. I mean, this is sad. This is really sad that what we're talking about. I mean, I think this is dystopian and deep, but I think it's probably the path.
I don't think it's that dystopian, because you can go in Monkey Ara, the sushi place downstairs, and a robot will come and you tap on the robot what you want to eat, and 15 minutes later the same robot will come with a tray of food. Yeah. You interact with no human. The human in all of this, what it's doing, is coming after you finish eating to pick up the dishes and wipe the table.
And you know what happens in these societies, because let's face it, right? We know which society, we can model this after Japan. Japan is probably the most isolated society in the world in terms of individual isolationism. Korea is not far behind. And you look at both those countries and then you look at the birth rate. I mean, Japan is going to be half the population that it is in 100 years.
Yeah, by
right?
2100.
Right, by 2100, less than 100 years, 75 years. Yeah. It'll be half the population of where it is, right? So does that mean we'll be living in a world with less people in developed countries? In underdeveloped countries, you're seeing a population boom, right? If you look at North Africa, parts of Asia, you know, the population is increasing.
Is across the world, right? So everything that's been developed economy, regardless if you're looking at the US or Europe or Australia, Japan, South Korea, everyone is losing China, everyone is losing people at an alarming rate. Certain countries are losing enough people to just go below the barrier where they can actually restart the entire cycle. The biggest drive of all of this, it's this. Towns. High towers. If you think about it, back in the day, your kids were free labor. Free labor that you were giving birth to, raising, and they were helping you. Now, you just have to take care of them. And our generation at 16, we were, let's go out. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to prove myself. Now, unfortunately, the figures are showing that you have male, 35, still living with their parents. Why? Because, as you clearly said, they haven't cracked it yet. They have all the fears outside. They don't know how to attack it. They don't know where even to start from. And they lock themselves in. And the more you lock yourself in, the harder it is to go out. That's why you have all the bad examples that you've been talking with your previous guests in the male population, because it's so much harder, and everything is a game. If you look how you are dating nowadays, everything is through apps. You don't go to someone in a bar and invite her or him out for a drink, or let's go for a walk in the park. No, fancy dinners, you only pick me up in Grab, you didn't bring any limousine. And it's silly, right? Because everything is proving the exact opposite of what it should be, which is, okay, let's go and see, are we connecting on a deeper level? Not just swipe left, swipe right. I'm picking up on technology. I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
Wow, we went deep. We're going deep on AI here.
We are. If you think AI is just a clickbait over the last 3 years, you've been using AI for the last 20 years. Think of Google Maps, right? Google Maps has been around for what, 10, 15 years? That's AI. And the moment when you look at it, it's very basic AI. Now the AI gets smarter for sure. But yes, we've been using AI for many, many years. Now it's just at a point where it's threatening everyone's jobs. And it's the mainstream and it's the topic of discussion. But I think the genie is out of the bottle and you can't put it back.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. I want to go back to finance though. We can come back to AI. on finance, you know, we talked about tips for young people, right? What did you do for you and your family? You know, coming from a finance coach, being a money manager, I think a really good way to explain to the audience a very good strategy would be what you do for yourself. So what is that? What exactly is it that you do for yourself?
I've been an expat for the last 10 years. I lived in 6 countries on 2 continents. Across the board, regardless if it's in Europe, Middle East, or Asia, everyone lacks financial knowledge. We don't know how to handle money. The previous generation, it's not their fault that they didn't teach us because they didn't know any better, but now we have ChatGPT in our pockets, which means that we should know. The moment when you break it down, it's quite easy to understand. And if you want to visualize it, see it like a pyramid, with the first layer, first base, the biggest part of your pyramid should be an emergency buffer. Everyone throws emergency buffer in the finance world. Yeah, you should have an emergency buffer, but people don't actually break it down. What is it? If you look at you, Michael, and let's say you spend 10,000 ringgit a month to live, as you do with your family. An emergency buffer, a very cautious one, is 3 months worth of expenses. A moderate one is 6 months, and anything in excess, you are probably expecting some big bills coming in over the next 12 months. So between 3 and 6 months worth of what you're spending on a monthly basis, that should be locked in an account where you can get instant access. You shouldn't worry that, oh, but I don't make money with this. That's okay. That lets you put your head at night knowing that you, your wife, and the kids are taken care of.
So like, for example, if I lost my job, if I had a job working for a corporation, I lost my job, I need to find a new job.
Yep.
That money gives me the opportunity to kind of maintain my lifestyle and look for a new job at the same time.
Absolutely. It allows you to live comfortably with your family without having to fire your helper or cut off on everything else that you've guys been doing until that point. Many people are considering their last paycheck, especially expats. They have, with the companies, they're saying, okay, if we let you go, you have 3 months, 6 months, 12 months worth of salary as a one last paycheck for all the years of service. But at the same time, in the small print of the contracts, I'm not saying that all companies, but I've seen examples where companies, they were dragging their feet to pay that last paycheck. But you still have to feed your family. You still have to make sure that your kids go to school and everything else. So life goes as normal, except that your company, the emergency buffer that you're relying on, it didn't come true for the first 6 months. So that's, I think, the most basic fundamental way of understanding it. From there, it's quite simple.
And what do you do with that? Sorry, you
Nothing.
put that in a savings account? Or is it in a checking account? What kind of account is that in?
Checking account, something where it doesn't move up, it doesn't move down. Something very simple like a checking account.
Yeah.
Where you can get instant access to it.
But what if I'm a guy who, you know, if I see the money in my checking account, it's like I want to spend it. You know, do I open a separate checking account where I just keep this emergency fund, or do I put it in a separate savings account or a CD or something like that? I mean, because, you know, I feel like if you've got a lot of money in the checking account, it's like, oh, I feel good. I feel like I can go out and spend more, right? So is there a strategy? Is there anything? What do you think?
If you are that type of guy, definitely it's worth giving to your spouse if your spouse is better at managing it,
Okay.
or opening up a second account. The moment when you have several accounts, you're going to start tracking everything. You don't do the math well, and you realize that instead of you have 25,000 split between 5 accounts, and in your head you have 85,000, so you can spend.
Okay.
So yes, in a simple format is keep it away from what you spend on a daily basis, monthly basis. Give it to your spouse if that helps. Take it, keep it in cash at home. If it's not a tremendous amount, and you have a safe or a safe place to store it. But yes, if you decide that I have 3 months worth of expense and I need a new toy, then you have to go below this first.
I feel like it's
pyramid.
just tempting, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if it's there and it's in your account and you can see it every day, it's tempting to spend that, you know, even though you're not supposed to.
It definitely can be tempting, especially if it took you a while to build that up.
Yeah.
I think we jump straight into what I think will be the 7 layers to build yourself out of this, but we haven't discussed of any sort of debt. If you go and borrow money to build an emergency fund, you haven't done anything. So you look at getting rid of debt, first of all, before you build anything. Here I'm talking bad debt, credit cards, personal loans. I don't mean mortgage. You don't have to wait until you finish paying your mortgage to build an emergency fund. That's the recipe for disaster. But any sort of credit card debt or any sort of personal loans, bad debt, go and take care of that, because nobody can guarantee you making 20% a year in the stock market, but you're guaranteed to pay 20% interest or whatever interest is going to be on the credit card.
It's crazy, which is criminal, if you ask me. That is just criminal. That credit cards can charge 24%, 25%. Yeah, I mean, and this is legal. Billion-dollar companies.
Absolutely.
Banks for crying out.
Yes. And US now is dealing with a huge problem when it comes to the credit card part, because they have $1.2 trillion worth of credit card debt at 24% interest.
Yeah.
And this shows that if you are able to teach an entire generation, they will be able to cure it in the next generation. You cannot help everyone, but by breaking down these lessons and making it accessible. Because that's one problem I think that I'm seeing. Obviously, I work in finance, so I'm seeing in finance, but I presume it's across the board. Probably it's in your sector just as much, where people are afraid to come and ask. Okay, you know someone, just go and ask. Okay, I have this question, right? Can I just 2 minutes?
And this emergency fund, I presume that there's tools, AI tools maybe, where you can automate a certain amount of your paycheck or whatever, auto debit, and put it into this account.
Yes, you don't even need AI tools. All the banks nowadays, here I'm talking developed countries, all the banks nowadays, they allow you to set up direct debits in whatever account you want. But this job shouldn't take you that long. You should be able to build it up quickly. And once you've been able to build that, you go and start looking at the next level, which next level is, for expats, usually one of the spouse works and is the main breadwinner, and the other spouse, it's either working but is not producing just as much income, or decides to put their life on pause and take care of children at home. The fact that so many people are ready to go down the street in heavy rain, driving a fast car or in the back of a Grab without having a life insurance and thinking of their loved ones is scary, because we don't protect ourselves for the good days, we protect ourselves for the days when things don't go according to plan. So the second part is the life insurance, where look at how much you're earning on a yearly basis and do as a minimum 3 times that. 5 times it's average, and 10 times you should be okay. And the whole idea is, if you don't show up tonight at home, your wife will never be able to replace you, but at least will be able to take care of your kids until they go to university. That's the whole idea, right? If you had an ATM in your living room and every month you go and you pull the lever and it spits out your salary paycheck, you will make sure that ATM is taken care of and dusted off and has a UPS so the electricity will never go off, and insure it and everything else. But in your family, you are the ATM. And more often than not, we are not taking care of ourselves. So that's the way how I'm seeing the second part, the life insurance.
Okay. Now, on these life insurance policies, it's only in case something happens, or let's say you do a 10-year life insurance policy, right? Now, if you don't die in those 10 years, do you get any of that money back that you put into it? How does that work?
So there are 2 types. Okay. One is called life insurance, which is the traditional car insurance that you know. You go, you get a car, you get the car insurance, you don't crash, good job, here's a tap on the shoulder, move on. Right. That's the traditional life insurance. There is something that's called life assurance, and here in Malaysia it's very popular, but it's also available on the international scale. And the life assurance is definitely more pricey than the life insurance, but at the same time you have the option to take money out. If you use the 10-year analogy, for sure, after 10 years you haven't died, you are able to take the amount out. There is also in this category an option that's called whole of life, and the whole of life basically means that you are insured until you turn 95 or die, whichever comes first. if you have $500,000 worth of life insurance, whole of life, if you haven't died until you turn 95, you get $500,000, you call it a day. There are options. The important part is to know that there are options. The moment when you know there are options available, you will go and ask the right questions. The problem is that people don't know why they need some sort of life insurance. There's no point for me to talk about it because we can talk until tomorrow, but there are many things that you can build here. Like you can take money out of it if you need money. You can put more money in. You can use it if you buy a property. You can use it rather than the bank always forces you to go and get life insurance because they don't want to have an uncovered debt liability. So you can use your own life insurance, which you took 10 years ago when you were younger, healthier, with no problems, and it's much cheaper. So there are many things that you can use the life insurance for, but the important part is for you to know that there are options.
Okay, so now we've got emergency fund, we've got life insurance. What's next?
For me,
For you?
For me, it's just children. It will be a devastating moment for my girls to turn 18 to look me in the eyes and I will tell them that I cannot send you to university because I didn't do anything. I've called it non-negotiable plan. And I have a small amount of money that goes on the back burner, invested automatically on a monthly basis. I don't care. It's doing 7%, 8% per annum for the 18 years that my girls take until they have to go to university. There will be a couple $100,000 that I can give them the option to go to university. Can I send them to university in the US with those funds? No. So US is going to be off the table. But apart from that, I can say, okay, do you want to go to university? Yes, here is some money. No, okay, here is $20,000, $30,000. 12 months, go and spin around the world. I've been an expat for 10 years and I'm probably going to be an expat for the rest of my life. I know how important it is to go and see the world, get a pulse, understand how many cultures and beauties are out there. It's so much harder to find yourself if you don't know what else is out there. So I think that's very important. And getting that option for my girls to go and spin around the world and come back and discuss what should we do. Should we go on the entrepreneurial journey? Do you want to go into service business? Do you want to do a creative side? What do you want to do, right? But the key here is you have the option to carry these discussions. Because if you don't have any sort of savings for your children, here I've seen many people that they decide to sell their house to send their kids to university. And it's noble.
So when you save money for your kids for university, what are you doing? Are you putting it into some
ETFs.
ETFs that tracks the market?
Yes, ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. It's very cost efficient, and it just goes in the Nasdaq and S&P 500, maybe Europe. It's something that I'm looking at myself once a year. I'm saying, 8%, very good.
And for Malaysians, they could do that as well?
Yes. Yes, they have the option for here. If we take a side step, if we're looking at Malaysia, I've been blessed to live here for the last few years, and they have so many opportunities, but at the same time they don't know the opportunities are out there. If you're looking at average Joe on the street, for a lack of a better term, they have EPFs and they work 5, 10, 15 years to put a deposit down on a house that is locking them into a 20-year, 30-year mortgage. Apart from that, they will be lucky if they have some other savings on the side. Unfortunately, that's the honest truth. You've been in Malaysia for way more years than I have. And you know that the yield on a property from an investment perspective, it's very small. I will give myself an example. I live in a house that's worth 3 million ringgit, and the rent for that is 4,000 ringgit a month. The yield, it's very, very small.
It's negative. if you have debt on the house.
Debt, tax, interest. We had some problems in the house where the ceiling started leaking and they had to break the entire bathroom, and after that we had a problem with the roof. I honestly think that the landlord is actually losing money this year on renovations because we live there. right? So if you think that's your only option, then you will do exactly the same thing that everyone else is doing. But knowing that there are other options out there, such as ETFs, investment funds, you have Malaysian ones, but you also have international ones. Again, you should do your research when it comes to investing any sort of funds, especially if you invest them through apps and you don't use someone who you can look in the eyes, someone that it's regulated, someone that's backed by an insurance. You should definitely go and do your research and check 10 times before you put any money in.
Yeah, I think a lot of people here use real estate almost as a savings account. It's like you park the money into the real estate, and then if it makes money, you're not going to make money. You don't look at making money from cash flow on the rental. They're looking at appreciation. But I feel that strategy may not be the best strategy nowadays because there's a glut of properties on the market. I mean, if you go in KOCC, if you look in the city center and you go there at night, there are not that many lights turned on in these condos. You know, there's a lot of empty apartments in those condos. Many of those are also owned by foreigners, I think, but they're not renting them out, and they're difficult to get rented out. So there is a bit of a glut when it comes to some of these residential properties. And I found that when I was in Bangsar, when I was renting houses for employees of mine to live in, you know, these homes were selling for 1.8, 1.9, 2 million ringgit, and they're charging 3,000 ringgit a month for rent. I said, there's no way you could buy that property as an investment property and then rent it out. It's just not possible. You're going to be negative, right? You have to buy it in cash. So I think that a lot of people do buy property in cash here, and they use it essentially as a savings account.
Yes, from a savings account perspective, absolutely. But even if you go and you buy in cash, the opportunity cost, and I know you understand what opportunity cost. For people who don't know what opportunity cost is, basically the amount of money that you're ready to lock in for a set period of time, and the fact that you don't have access to those money, right? So the opportunity cost for 2 million ringgit, lock into a property that hopefully will appreciate at 3% per year for the next 20 years. It's so much more than you taking the same money and just put them in something in the stock market that you know what it's been doing for the last 100 years.
And additionally, it's liquid. If an emergency comes up, it's easy to take that money out and you can use it, right?
Absolutely.
Rather than it being trapped in a home, which could be, you know, I mean, yes, you can get a loan against the home, but that's still going to take you a few weeks. You know, in case of an emergency, you can't just take it right out and put it in. But yeah, in Malaysia they have what do they have? Something akin to mutual funds, unit trusts. They have unit trusts, ETFs, right? But CDs, which is FD, right? Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the investment profile of Malaysia. I think it's a small market in comparison with LSE or London Stock Exchange or the stock market in the US, or even if you look across the lake at Hong Kong, right? You have more options. The problem is when everything is so concentrated, it's also hard to spot opportunities or to start looking, okay, what can I do for the next 10 years, 15 years? If we're coming back to the expat community, if you're an expat in a country where you earn in a foreign currency that's exotic, it can be Malaysia, or it can be Venezuela, it can be Argentina, it can be Philippines. You have such a big fluctuation in the currency that sometimes you make a killing by exchanging into the currency that you're paying the house back home in, or sometimes you can't afford to make those payments because you don't have enough money left over. So again, from an investment perspective, the moment when you know where you want to go, or okay, I'm here on a 3-year contract, 5-year contract, but I want to go back to the UK or in France or in the US, wherever I want to go, let's try to make some sort of contributions, investments in a stronger currency rather than looking at Malaysian ringgit or Philippine peso or Indonesian rupiah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to have a basket of currencies. When you're in a country that's got a high volatile currency, it's important to have a basket of currencies. Okay, we kind of went on a tangent there, but let's go back to this pyramid of
Yes.
yours, the chip pyramid, right? So we've got. Remind me, we have an emergency fund,
Yep.
then we have life insurance,
Yep.
and then you have a college fund for your kids.
Yes.
That goes directly into an ETF.
Yes.
What's next?
Regardless if my daughters will go to university or not, I will retire. I will retire, and my wife made a difficult decision to stay at home and put her career on pause, which means I'll retire twice. I need to make sure that I provide for both of us. So retirement is one of those subjects that everyone thinks, oh my God, well, I will not retire for the next 20 years. Yeah, but 20 years is actually not that much. If you think about it, 20 years is 240 paydays left. That's it. You're going to be paid 240 times and it's done. No more income. Right?
No, I don't think so.
12 times 20?
Oh yeah, 12 times 20, once a month, right? I was thinking getting paid weekly,
Oh, okay,
in the
yeah.
or bi-weekly, yeah, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
12 times 20, yeah, wow, 240 paydays, there you go.
Yes,
Not that much.
240 paydays, not that much. When you're born, raised, live, and die in the same country, it's super easy. It is what it is. You probably depend on the government very much from a pension perspective to provide for you in retirement, regardless if it's Romania or the US in your case, or Malaysia with their EPF, whatever it is. From the tax that we're paying, a part goes towards some sort of retirement scheme. The moment when you're getting paid an expat, the moment when you live as an expat and you get paid as an expat, companies then don't contribute in any sort of retirement funds for you. And here I don't mean every company, I mean in general. Which means that that's another burden on you as expat to make sure that you're taking care of that yourself. It can be done through a wealth manager if you don't know where to start, or if you have tax problems, or if you have assets in several countries. That's the moment when you actually need someone in your court. And is this stigma that financial advisors are only looking at themselves? 20 years ago, maybe that was the case. But now, if you actually, in the age of social media, if you actually want to do something for yourself, you need to give the best advice possible, because if you don't do it, someone else will call you out. So it's very important, or I'm seeing myself as being the most important part, which will allow me to do my job for the next 3 decades and not for the next 3 years. If I come and I screw you over, in 3 months it's going to be out there and my career is over. If I'm coming and giving you the best available information that I have, even if we can't work together and we are not a good fit, maybe on the next barbecue you're going to talk with your friends about, oh, actually I know this guy who's quite clever, we didn't work together, but here's his number. So that's the way how finance works nowadays from a personal finance perspective.
Okay. So we're talking about your own retirement accounts.
Yes, retirement account for expats. You should do a bit of reverse engineering. Where are you planning to retire? If you don't know where, look, okay, what sort of currency am I more likely to spend in my retirement? Retirement nowadays, it's more a term than an actual milestone.
All right, well, let's use Malaysia for an example. I think Malaysia is probably one of the best retirement locations in the world for expats.
Yeah.
So what would you advise an expat who wants to retire in Malaysia to do? Where would you put your money?
Invest in a stronger currency that doesn't come with all the volatility that Malaysian ringgit has. Look at the growing markets and diversify yourself. So to summarize it, it's an offshore account where you're able to purchase stock and share, ETFs, mutual funds, a basket of everything. You don't have to only go for one, but it has to be in a stronger currency than Malaysian ringgit for sure.
And for young people out there, you know, they should also have an emergency fund.
Yes.
And they should also start on the retirement fund at the same time, or when should young people start on a retirement fund?
If you're looking at Malaysia, young people start automatically a retirement fund by paying tax and by contributing in their EPF. It's hard to look at retirement when your basics are not covered, but having an emergency fund I think is very important because it allows you to if your tire breaks in the middle of the highway, you don't have to go and sell whatever you had in your house to replace the tire.
Okay.
Right? So it just takes you to the next hurdle, but that's not a solution. That's just a patch.
I get it. Okay. But I have to say, I'll make a comment on the EPF. I think it's one of the greatest retirement funds here. I mean, it's better than the United States. The U.S. has Social Security, which is terrible. I mean, here you can check your EPF account.
Yeah.
You can see how much money you're earning. You're earning 8% a year. So it's a really good account. I mean, frankly, I think Malaysians are lucky to have an EPF account. Looking at it from the outside in.
Yeah.
As opposed to the American system, which is totally broken. I mean, it's basically privatized. You have to have a 401k that's provided by a company, and they have to match it. It's a pain. Here, you get your EPF, and occasionally, depending on what company you work for, some companies will match payments as well into a private pension fund. So they have very good retirement scheme here, I believe.
They do, and I think it's something that even expats can contribute in. As long as the company allows you to have an EPF account, you should try to maximize your contributions as long as the company also matches that. Because last time when I checked, as an expat, the moment when you leave Malaysia, you had to take the money out. So that will provide you a nice lump sum that you can invest, pay off a debt, help with a relocation, whatever is the case. But the money that you don't spend, you save, and regardless if you save them to pay off a house or to go in a, lavish holiday because you just completed your contract for 3 years, it's money that you saved and provides you with options.
Okay. So getting back to Chip's pyramid of finance, I'll reiterate. Emergency fund, life insurance, college fund, retirement fund, anything else?
Lump sum investment that are very flexible. Here, you can get paid once a year a bonus or some commission from a property sale or whatever it is. You basically inheritance. It's a lump sum that comes to you once in your life or a couple of times if you're lucky. This sort of lump sum provides you, following the same trajectory, provides you with add-on benefits, meaning that you can invest it in good opportunities available at that point. You can, we call it in finance, drip investing, which is invest small amounts out of the lump sums over an extended period of time. Maybe you pay off your house. If you have bad debt and you want to pay it off, you can pay off the house or a personal loan. But from an investment perspective, the lump sum, it's add on top of this, and you can't rely as a lump sum being the sole strategy. But lump sum can be invested again. You have to start zooming out, or small analogies, go on a helicopter ride across your finances and see everything. Okay, what do I miss? Where do I want to double down? What's been working well? What do I have to trim? Where can I add more of these funds? So lump sum can be a standalone strategy, or you can complement everything else that you've been doing. And again, depends on the age that you are. It can be more skewed towards equity, or it can be more towards ETFs or CDs or bonds, whatever you need at that stage in life.
Okay. No, this brings up a thought, because there's a lot of jobs out there. Let's not say jobs, but say consultants or side gigs or people who are trying to be solopreneurs, right? A lot of times they work on like a per project basis.
Yep.
So they don't take a salary, but they might get a large lump sum maybe every 5 or 6 months, or maybe even once a year, right? So I always found I did something like that back in media when I had my media company. It was basically, you'd get 3 or 4 contracts a year, and that kind of set you up for the whole year. But what's the best way to manage it if that's your only source of income? Is it that drip strategy that you were talking about? Because that sounds interesting, but it's kind of, like I said, it's hard when you have a lot of money in your account. Some people might even tend to lose motivation to go after the next account. You know what I mean? I think that probably happens with a lot of solopreneurs. If they land a big contract, they kind of try to live off the land for a while, and they never regain that status.
You've pointed out quite well there, because in order for everything to make sense and for the big puzzles to start falling into place, you need to know where you're starting from. You are 35, 40 years old. okay, what have you done so far? You've been working for the last 10 years. At the moment when you work in corporate or you work for a big company, even if you don't know, they're doing a balance sheet. Once a quarter or once a year, they're looking at everything. They're looking at the assets, they're looking at liabilities, how much money they own, and they're drawing a line and they're saying, okay, I'm profitable or I'm not. I'm making money or I'm losing money. Do I add from last quarter to this quarter, from 2024 to 2025? Did my assets increase? Now, us, it's very rarely, or in my job, I've seen clients who lived 45 years, and they never done this exercise themselves. So I think that's actually the starting point. Understand where you are today and go from there. Coming back to what you asked me, if you landed a contract that will last you for next 6 months, if you start living off the land and you don't produce anything, that means you can't invest anything. You will basically just build a very hefty emergency buffer, and the emergency buffer will keep going down and down and down because you don't add anything, you don't have additional income. If you manage to land a contract that pays enough for the next 2 years, maximize the 6 months worth of emergency buffer, take the rest and start building that pyramid for you that allows you to be hungry again. Because you know in 6 months you're not run out of money to spend, because the rest of it is like, it doesn't belong to you anymore. It's already invested in the stock market, it's already allocated to this and that. So that money, it's non-existent, it's existing on paper until you go and you liquidate. So it will keep you hungry in case the solopreneurship you've mentioned gives you enough to have a 2-year runway or 3-year runway.
Okay. No, I think that's a good tip because there's a lot, especially nowadays, there's more entrepreneurs than ever.
True.
And a lot of guys, they grab a contract here, they grab people don't have steady income. So I think it's important to have these strategies for people who don't have that steady paycheck every month.
Yes.
Okay, so how many more steps are there? Two more steps.
One is tax.
Okay.
And this step can be
That's the
kept.
last.
Yeah, there is one more. But the tax step can be kept up here, or you can bring it down if company that you work for allows it, jurisdiction where you're working from allows it, the place where you're saving money allows it. So it's no point to save and invest in the UK if you've been an expat in Malaysia for the last 10 years because you're paying capital gain tax in the UK.
Right.
You can just move that outside of the UK, have the same framework of regulations. You don't pay tax on that, the gains that you've made. Right? So that can be brought down if it requires you. If not, tax is definitely something that Malaysian, again, very fortunate. They don't pay inheritance tax. They don't pay capital gain tax. Very, very fortunate. In the US, as US national, you have a very high bracket. But as foreigners, it's $60,000 for inheritance tax. Anything else goes towards the brackets. UK, it's £350,000, £325,000 as an inheritance tax free. Anything else, inheritance tax. Malaysia, as much as you want, right? Tax is that. And the last one, it's venture capital, angel investor, and crypto. If you start with crypto, you try building the top of Burj Khalifa without having the foundation. You might be lucky, and you will become a millionaire overnight, and I will put my hand up and say congratulations. But you are the long tail on such a long queue that is going to be 1 in 100,000, 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million. And for each and every person that gets dragged in the social media and says, oh yeah, but he invested $2,000 and now has $17 million, you have the rest of 990,000 people who lost money. So that's why if you start with crypto and you don't have things in place, you don't lose your job when the stock market is booming and there's peace in the world. You lose your job when the stock market goes to bin, and there is tension around the world, and crypto is down too. So you have to sell your $50,000 investment for $450 because you need to pay electricity. If you have a good foundation and you start building in the right way, I think it's setting up safety nets for you, for your loved ones, for your family. Make sure that whatever the next problem is going to come, because there's always a curveball.
Is there any room in there for real estate? Do you have real estate? Where would you put real estate in your pyramid?
Myself, I'm not the biggest fan of real estate because it's not liquid,
Okay.
one, and two, because it ties you to one place. Yes, you can put real estate in there. Where do you want to put it? You've built enough saving in your, you have life insurance, you have something for your children, you already start contributing in some sort of private retirement fund, and you have extra money that's enough to put a deposit down for a property, and you know for sure you're going to retire in Malaysia. Although for sure it's very hard, and forever it's a very long time. But let's say it's Malaysia. You go and you buy a house. I have many friends who went and bought their houses. It can be there, it can be earlier, but again, the earlier you buy a property, you will end up with golden handcuffs.
But it's like you said here, it's not really worth it to buy a property. It's
If you live in
way
it, it's-
cheaper to rent.
Yeah, but if you live in it, it's worth it because you're going to be living in the property for the next 70 years, and you give it to your children afterwards, right? If you plan to live in the property for the next 5 years, it's definitely not worth it, or for the next 10 years. Everything all in all is not worth it. But the moment when you buy a property, if you're looking in Europe, certain properties have been in the same family for generations. And there's just been the value of the property itself. It's actually the land that's built on. It's not the condo or the house. So yes, definitely you can put the real estate, you can bring real estate, but in real estate, and this is going to be controversial, I think people who are making money is the developer and the bank. You have 30 years worth of mortgage, you pay 4 times the amount that you borrow, and everyone says, yes, but my grandma bought a property for £60,000 and now it's worth 350. Yes, but look at the inflation of those money. How much will £60,000 from 45 years ago will be worth in today's money? What's the opportunity cost for all those money? How much more your grandma paid in fees, maintenance, and everything else? So, yes, I understand the argument for a property, and there are investors who love properties. I have clients who purchase properties in the UK, in Portugal. They never visit the countries, but they have properties in there, and everything is managed for them, and that's fantastic. If that lets you sleep well at night, very good. Good for you. The one key from all this discussion is start doing something. And at the beginning, outside, I was saying that you don't need, 90% of people don't need a financial advisor. Because you don't. You can literally go on ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT, okay, this is my situation. You can give real data or a fictitious John and see, okay, what can I optimize? Am I spending too much on eating out? Am I not reaching my full potential because I'm half-assed at work and I'm not doing anything on the side? I work from home, but in reality I work 3 hours a day from home, but I also don't put the other time to any sort of good benefit to myself, right? From an investment perspective, you need a financial advisor the moment when you actually have money to invest.
Right.
If you earn a lot and you can't save, you need a financial advisor. You need someone to be in your side, to be the voice of rationality on your shoulder and say, hey, you don't need a 6th car, you're fine. But up until a certain point, you don't need a financial advisor. You just need to start. And starting is more important than anything else.
So what would you think are people's biggest problems when it comes to finance and saving? Is it not getting started?
Yes, is not getting started. Is wanting to become millionaires by the end of the week. Is expecting I don't think it's their fault. I don't think it's our fault. I think it's the media that we indulge in, regardless if it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. I'm going on social media myself, and I feel like a failure every time when I open it. Because I'm 33 years old, and I'm not a multi-millionaire like the kid who's selling courses at 23. Right? We were discussing about it. 57 is the average age for a millionaire. The guy who sells you courses on trading, he's not making money in trading, he's making money selling courses. But it's so hard and people don't want to hear because everyone is looking for an easy way out. But there are no easy way out. And yes, you heard about the guy, the cousin of your mother-in-law who won the jackpot at the lottery. But three years later, he was back in his place because he didn't know what to do with the money. There are lessons that are building themselves up, and you have to become a millionaire in your head before you become a millionaire in your pocket. And until you learn that lesson, you are doomed to repeat the same mistakes.
In my experience, the millionaires and the billionaires that I've met across the world, they look at the bills the closest. You know, they'll look at every item on a restaurant bill. These guys, they didn't get to where they are by not checking the line items and by not saving and by not, knowing the value of money, because they know what it takes to earn that money, right?
And at the same time, to add to this, millionaires have someone who's doing this for them. They don't try to do it themselves. Same like I'm not trying to do everything myself in my family and my company and my house and I hire people who are better at certain jobs than I am. Same like you hire me to be your finance guy, and when something is to happen, you call your finance guy rather than you going through 100 balance sheet from the last 4 years. But again, it's very hard to understand these sort of lessons, that you have to hire people in order to be able to do certain jobs for you, because your time is going to become more valuable and more important. So yes, the millionaires that you were talking about are the guys who are not managing their money themselves, are not running their companies, 10, 20 companies themselves, are not the ones who are renting their houses and taking care of the properties that they own around the world themselves, because it's impossible. But in order to get there, you have to learn exactly what you were saying. Check the bill, make sure that things are going according to plan. If you don't know the lesson, I was talking with Dad a couple of months ago, and it's completely off track, but if you know video games where you are a small hero and you have to grow your character, right? You are doomed to fight the same beast until you learn how to overcome it. Until you get yourself good enough to be able to go and slay the dragon. It's exactly the same in life. You are doomed to repeat the same mistakes until you learn the lessons. Otherwise, you will be stuck at your level, whatever level is going to be, but you're stuck at that level.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the guy who won the lottery is broke 3 years later, because he never learned any of those lessons. He didn't earn the money.
He was just a catapult.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, try to hold sun like this, it's never gonna stick.
Exactly. So what opportunities do you see here? What kind of local financial opportunities do you see in Malaysia?
When you mean financial opportunities, you mean for people to invest money in Malaysia?
I mean, let's talk about Malaysia. Let's talk about what kind of opportunities there are here and what kind of missed opportunities that there are here that Malaysians are doing and that Malaysians have options to do that maybe they're underutilizing.
I'm not aware of Malaysia as an investment ground.
Okay.
You will be way better off discussing with real estate guy about the property investment in Malaysia. Of course, we have to understand that whoever comes in front of you, he will be biased on whatever him or her represents. So a real estate guy in Malaysia will tell you that the property is the best thing. Unit trust guy in Malaysia will tell you that the unit trust is the best thing. From a Malaysian perspective, I don't know enough to be able to have an opinion. But for Malaysians, all Malaysians that I speak with, they want to send their kids abroad. But at the same time, they're saving in Malaysian ringgit, which it's a good thing that they are, but why not try to, you want your kid to go to Oxford, why not save in pounds? You're gonna buy pounds more expensive today, cheaper tomorrow. Across the years, you're gonna have something that's called dollar cost averaging from a currency perspective and from an investment return too. Same thing with euros, same thing with Aussie dollars, wherever you know you're gonna have expenses, why not try to diversify the sort of currency that you're investing in by just getting investments straight into the target currency, if you can call it that way. Those are the opportunities. And the fact that now, look behind you, the world is open, completely wide open, right? You are born in Malaysia, maybe you don't want to ever leave Malaysia, but that doesn't mean your investment have to be to stick to Malaysia. You can just look and inspect what else is out there. Where? If you could buy an apartment 20 years ago in Singapore, would you go back in time and buy it? Probably yes, right? Would you buy an apartment 20 years ago in London? 100%. You will do anything that's possible to buy that apartment, right? But now you are, okay, but England is far, or Germany, it's understandable because there are so many moving pieces.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? If a parent wants to send their child overseas for university, they should start that university fund in the currency of the country they want to send them to.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right, so you've been an expat for how long now?
10 years.
10 years. And how many countries have you lived in?
6.
6 countries. What countries?
Romania, UK, Malta, Cyprus, Dubai, and Malaysia.
Okay, and how long have you been in Malaysia?
Closing on 3 years.
3 years in Malaysia. Is there anything that you found like completely different here from the other countries that you've been to? I mean, clearly this is the only one in East Asia that you've been to, but is there anything that surprised you when you came here?
Yes, 100%. I've never felt that I belong, not even in Romania, until I reached Malaysia.
Okay.
In Malaysia, everything fell into place in a very strange way, right? I lived in Dubai. That's where I met my current wife, and I look back onto friends from Europe who've never been to the Middle East, or I'm looking at people who aspire to go and live in Singapore. I will never give Malaysia for Singapore or UAE any day of the week. I've tried to do a stress test and look, okay, what I can find better somewhere else. And honestly, there is nothing better somewhere else. You have a safe country, your dollar stretches a long way, education for your kids, it's top level. You have access to the brightest minds. You can travel. KL, it's very international. If you were to ask me what I will change about Malaysia, it's probably going to be the way how they promote their tourism. Because it's such a hidden part, it's a small piece of heaven, hidden between Thailand that everyone heard of, Singapore, and Indonesia. Indonesia has been heard of from the point of view of Bali, right? But Malaysia, it's right in the middle, and from a promotion perspective, I haven't heard about Malaysia as much as one should praise Malaysia until I've actually moved here. I've never been in Malaysia, I've never been to Southeast Asia until I moved to Malaysia. And obviously now I've been here for 3 years, I've traveled around, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. So yes, it's very hard to find something that's not good about Malaysia.
Well, they do. Well, you said the brightest minds. I mean, Malaysia has been combating a brain drain problem for the last several years because of exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Many families want to send their children overseas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I wouldn't trade Singapore for Malaysia either, simply because Singapore is a great city. I love Singapore, right? It's a great city. It's expensive, but it's got great infrastructure. It works. But it's small. It's tight. It's congested. You know, Malaysia here it's wide open. You want to go play golf on Saturday morning, no problem getting a tee time. Good luck in Singapore. You've got to go to the golf course at 5:30, 6 in the morning, wait online, and then maybe you'll get a tee time, and then the round will take you an extra hour and a half, 2 hours. Here hiking not an issue, right? You've got islands, you've got beaches. You've got mountains in terms of Mount Kinabalu. You've got some pretty big mountains in the jungle. Tamanagara, right? You don't have any of that in Singapore. Bangkok is too congested. Jakarta, forget about it. I mean, Jakarta's not even on the list, right?
You can remove Manila too.
Yeah, Manila. Yeah, Manila's not even in the conversation. But But the thing about Singapore and Bangkok is that both of those cities are more international than KL. KL's a great city. It's top tier. You know, it's got great architecture, probably some of the best architecture in the world. But it is less international than both Bangkok and Singapore.
But you do speak more English in KL than you speak in Bangkok?
You do. Funny enough. I mean, the English here that's another great thing about Malaysia, is that it's an English-speaking country.
Yes.
And it's a very diverse country, particularly, you know, with the Malay, Indian, Chinese population. I've always compared it to, you know, the U.S. in terms of it's like the America of Asia in terms of diversification. But yeah. I mean, there's what's not to like, right? That's why I've been here so long. Yeah. I mean, I love it here too. Yeah. So what kind of challenges did you find when you first came here? Did you find any challenges at all when you came here?
Good question, but it's not a Malaysian problem. It's a government problem across the world, which is bureaucracy. I'm an expat. I am born in Romania. I met my wife in Dubai. She's from the Philippines. My daughter was born in Malta. So our paperwork, when it comes to applying for anything, it's a nightmare. We have to run a multi-maze DHL across the world sort of path to fulfill any sort of application. So, but that's not a Malaysian problem. In the UK, we had problems. In Malta, we had the same difficulties. Dubai, it's a category on its own. So that's everything is digitalized and everything is on an ID. The moment when you apply for visa, you go and you get medical checkup and everything is imprinted on an ID. You know the UAE?
I mean, I've been to the UAE, but I've never lived there, so I'm not familiar.
It's like your driving license, but it has a chip. You go to a hospital, they put your Emirates ID, they put it in a machine, scans, everything comes up. They know where you are. So it's good from their point of view, it's good from your point of view, because everything is straightforward. But again, UAE is a path on its own, right? The bureaucracy problem, it happens everywhere. And the worst, it's still in the Philippines. Yeah. I had to get documents out of there, and it's an absolute nightmare. But I think all governments can do better. But at the same time, if we're looking at it, they have no incentive to do better.
Well, also because there's not a lot of people like you in the world. You know what I mean? Most people are citizens of their own country. Expats are a very small minority.
Yes.
And they kind of fall through the cracks when it comes to this, you know, government policy or, you know, bureaucratic paperwork. That's the last person they have in mind.
Yes, but I had to deal with JPJ. Yes. And I understand. It's completely fine. You make me wait 9 hours to handle my paperwork. That's the price that I pay as an expat. I can't moan about it. But I've seen Malaysian with young children in there. And I've seen old people in there, in the same queue with me. So the fact that you're treating me like that, it's not okay, but it's okay, right? I'm in your country, you can do whatever you want. But to treat your own people like that, and same problem in the Philippines, same problem in Romania, same problem across the board. So it's not just expats that have to spend 9 hours in a queue, is their own citizens that have to do that. And again, I understand why. Because you could install an iPad, you go, you get the ticket number, you pre-fill the form from home, and you go and you handle in your documents, everything gets scanned, dealt. What you're going to do with the 80% of people that you're going to release from their functions?
Right, that's the problem.
What sort of jobs you have for those people? So I understand there is no incentive to fix this sort of issues, and I don't mean Malaysia. I mean across the world.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'd rather them implement AI systems into this, make it more efficient, save me time when I go to visit these places, you know, and just give those people UBI. Like rather than making your citizens wait multiple hours for no reason, you know, because of these convoluted old methods, you know, you might as well get rid of those people, put them in a department that can't be utilized for AI in the meantime, or just give them a salary to live on and do whatever it is they need. At least you're saving people some time, if anything. You may keep the same payroll And you may be paying these guys for not doing any work, but at least people are saving time.
Okay, and what are they going to do with the time?
Well, me, I have a lot
No,
of
no,
things
no,
that I
you,
will
because
do.
you're not going to be on UBS. What the people on UBS going to do with their time?
Well, that's up to them, isn't it?
Yeah, and what do you think they will do with their time?
I think they'll probably doom scroll on their phone most of the
Okay.
day or watch TV.
And 6 months later, a year later, when you want to take those people out of UBS, what will happen? Where will the riot start?
Well, that's kind of what happened with work from home, isn't it? I mean, it'll happen. It'll come back. I mean, I think Malaysia and Asia in general kind of dodged a bullet with work from home, because here they weren't having it. It was like, okay, work from home. No, you're back in the office. COVID's over, right? In America, these people didn't want to come back, and people really, companies had to put their foots down
Yeah.
and say, hey, you need to, because let's face it, a worker who's at the office is significantly more productive than somebody who's working from home. That's just a fact. Right? I mean, I think they've run the numbers at several corporations, and that's why Google and Microsoft, they had to make some hard calls, and say, you guys need to get back into the office. Amazon particularly. So, yeah, I think there'd be a little kicking and screaming, but they'd get back, if they had to. I mean, if you're getting free money for not doing anything, you've got to have some sense of commitment to the person who's giving you that money.
Look at Europe. It's been this problem has been around for many years in Europe, strictly because they have very good incentives. I used to live in the UK, and in the UK he calls them benefits.
Yeah.
And the benefits are, it's a minimum, below minimum income that allows you to look for a job. It doesn't incentivize you to stay at home, but allows you to go and look for a job. They basically pay you to go and look for a job. And you have all these people who are pretend to go to look for a job, or they go for, in the UK you have agencies that are doing job placements. And they go to agencies, they're looking for a job, they get the job, they go 24 hours, they go for the first shift, and after that they say, oh, but it doesn't work. No, it's too hard, or they don't like me, or abuse, or this or that. It's not across the board. But there are people who are taking advantage of the system.
Oh, this is very prevalent in the U.S. as well. People who are on welfare, it's called the welfare state. People who are on welfare, people who are on Medicaid. They don't have jobs. They have food stamps. They get government. They're living off government money every month. They're in Section 6 housing, Section 9 housing.
Yeah.
There is a small percentage of people that will do that, and they will always do that, most likely.
Yes. So the moment when you get universal basic income on a large scale, you realize that that small percentage that used to be, all of a sudden it's a bigger percentage. And you look at your neighbor where you go to work for minimum wage, which is, I don't know, $1,000, but your neighbor stays at home all day and he makes $650. So you're thinking, does it actually make sense for me to go to work? Because let's be honest, it's so much harder to get motivated to actually do something than to get demotivated to do nothing.
I could totally see this being like a line in a movie of the future where it's like, oh, Johnny got lucky. His company went UBI, And meanwhile, this schmuck has to keep going to work every day.
Yes.
I could totally see that happening, because it might not happen across the board, everybody at once, right? It's going to happen in pieces. It'll happen, this segment of the population will become redundant. This job will become redundant. And they'll go and look, but for the most part, a lot of people will maybe be on UBI. I don't know. I mean, it's a fun thought experiment, because we don't really know what's going to happen, but it certainly seems like we're going that way.
They run the UBI experiment in the Nordic countries, in Europe, and it was a failure. It didn't work. And you are going to have, again, the moment when you do UBI, you can't choose and pick. You have to do UBI to everyone, right? So you're going to receive the same UBI like someone who is trying to get a job, but he can't. So what will happen? Those people will look up, because that's what everyone is pushing for. Be like, okay, but why is he getting money? He doesn't need money. I need more money, right? The moment when you implement UBI, let's say in Germany, what will happen with all the illegal immigrants. Where will they go? Will they go in the UK to work, or will they go in Germany? And regardless where you're going to implement it, it's going to be a problem. So, although I don't have the answer for, I don't think UBI is going to be something that's going to be sustainable for an extended period of time.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen here for a very long time. In Asia, I think UBI will be way behind it. If anybody, Australia will probably be one of the first places with extremely high wages. You know, Australia, the United States, maybe
But
the UK.
if you give UBI to Australia now, okay, their real estate crisis is so big that they can't afford. Although they have a job, they can't afford to leave.
No, I think it's going to be. Listen, I'm not.
So you need UBI and housing?
I understand that UBI is probably going to be necessary, but I don't like it because if you're receiving money from the government every month and you're dependent on that money to live, you're effectively a slave of the government. You're a slave of the state.
Yep.
Right, and that's dangerous. That's a control state. That means what happens if you say something or do something that the government doesn't like? They cut you off, and then you have no job to go to, nothing to do. Right? That's where you'll start creating pockets of dissent, I think.
You need a smart guy who with a computer and $200 ChatGPT subscription or Google subscription, and they can produce animations at the same level of quality like Pixar used to do back in 20 years ago.
This is true. I mean, I don't think it's fully matured yet, but in the next 2 years, it'll be filmed by prompt, right? Directing by prompt, which is unbelievable. And I think it'll open up the world for more content. Will it be able to go into a cinema? That'll be more costly because to get into a cinema, there are certain criteria that it must meet, and and then you have to market it, right? So it'll be more costly. But I think it's just going to contribute to this content glut that we have. It's going to create more of it.
Yeah.
But at least it'll be higher quality, right?
Yes.
It'll be higher quality. But I mean, we do have a ton. Content, right? It wasn't even called content back then. Back then, it was television, radio, it was media, but now it's just content because so much of it's produced, right? It's all about attention span, really. So back in the day, it was, Sony was competing with Columbia Pictures or Disney or Warner Brothers, but now those guys are small players. It's Netflix competing against Fortnite, competing against YouTube, competing against TikTok.
They have millions of hours.
Facebook, because it's all about attention. It's an attention economy. Who's got whose attention? And everybody only has so many hours or so many minutes in the day.
Yeah.
So there's a competition, and that's kind of what's driven these social media companies to create these addictive platforms that are essentially digital drugs.
Nowadays, I think we already start seeing a revolution, if I can call it that, in the media platforms where up until a few years ago, people who were actually creating the content were earning zero. Like if you're looking at all the millions and billions of hours of content put in Facebook and Instagram, where people are creating content, but on the back end, they are earning nothing. You're looking at TikTok having their own fund and YouTube paying creators and X sharing a part of the revenue. I think this is what back in 2020, 2021, people start calling Web 3.0, where you have skin in the game. And it makes a lot of sense because you have people who've dedicated their entire lifetime. They dedicated their entire life creating content for these machines, for these algorithms, and the algorithms have been making money for the parent company, but what about the small guy who's been making the content?
Hey, just this year, we've received the first $1 billion valuation on a YouTuber. Mr. Beast is now worth $1 billion.
Yeah, he got it last year when they tried to buy him with $1 billion, but yes.
Yeah, Mr. Beast worth $1 billion. I don't know many actors that are worth $1 billion. You know, maybe a handful, and they've been doing it for God knows how long.
But
right?
Mr. Beast, it's what we were discussing earlier, the long tail
Yeah.
of YouTube. It's one. It's obsessed. He's doing nothing but YouTube.
Right.
He's been doing it for the last 10 plus years. And everyone wants to be a YouTuber, which is fun and game. But people don't understand that behind the one person YouTuber, you have teams of people directing, managing it, creating, building, coming up with ideas. All the brands that Mr. Beast built behind his content machine, and how he stumbled onto the brands that he built purely because there were no sponsors big enough that will have paid him for his videos. So he decided he's going to build his own brand so he will be able to keep the machine going.
Right.
So yes, it's amazing to be able to do that, but at the same time, people have to understand that as much as you want to do it on your own, it's impossible. You need to have a team around you that's able to support you in your mission and help build that with you. It's not just you. Yes, you're correct. Mr. Beast, it's a billionaire on paper. He decided he's not going to sell.
But look what it does. But look
else.
what it. But you know, giving people this money incentive, right? Look what it's done to them. Look what it's done to the content that people are creating. I mean, people are creating intentionally controversial content or just intentionally stupid content, like these guys who go into like the poorest neighborhoods with a bag of money and just wait to get robbed. You know, I mean, there've been some
Your algorithm is so different than mine, but yes, you're right.
but you know what I mean.
Yes,
there's
absolutely.
like a bunch of these,
Yes.
a bunch of this pure controversial media, or just basically, I don't know what they call it, like people who just want likes, people who are just trying to get followers. So
Yes.
they'll do anything to get
Yes.
people's eyeballs. And what drives eyeballs is controversy.
Yes.
And frankly, I think
Bad news.
I think that these social media companies and their algorithms are broken, and I think that they need to be fixed.
But even if you do good things, Mr. Beast himself proved it. He cured blindness by offering surgery to 1,000 people.
Right.
Or he built wells in Africa. And after that, he received all the negative criticism. Oh, how come it's your job to go and fix the wells in a foreign country? Or how come is this and that? So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, you are correct. The moment when you start going viral on whatever crazy idea that you had where you go and get robbed, you're going to do more of that because your channel is going to be the channel that's getting robbed and get beaten or whatever else. But also the moment when you try to do good things, you're still getting a lot of backlash, and many people are there, keyboard warriors, ready to just whip you for, oh, how come it's your job to go and build wells in Africa?
Right. Everything is polarized nowadays.
Absolutely.
Why is that? Is that because people are in echo chambers?
Yes.
Right, because people are just seeing what they like, and it's just continuously being reinforced. But this is a cycle that needs to be broken.
Yes.
This needs to get changed, you know. And
You can't change it in front of a screen because the algorithm has been trained to show you what you like.
we need different algorithms.
No, you need this.
Yes, you need one-to-one conversations. You can do that on the screen, hopefully, in an intimate setting with somebody, you know, like a video call or
Oh, right.
a podcast. I mean, because there's a lot of podcasts that operate that way, right? There's
Yes.
a lot of podcasts that do virtual podcasts.
Yes.
But I agree with you. You know, you can't do face-to-face conversations on a mass scale. I mean, I suppose you could. It's called life, right? Just meeting different
Yeah.
people every day. Get
Yes.
out of your house.
Be
right?
extrovert.
Right. But not everybody is, and apparently we're creating more introverts. But nowadays, you could work from home. You can get food delivered to your home. You can get groceries delivered to your home. You can pay all your bills from home. You don't need to leave home, essentially. Right? So a lot of people can live their lives without ever seeing another person. I mean, you know, there's stories of people dying in their apartments and being there for years
Wow.
because nobody's checked on them. Their rent payment and their mortgage payment was on auto debit, and all their bills just kept getting paid. And you know, they only found them when some, you know, emergency happened. You know, there's a fire in the building or whatever. But that happens. And this is so social media was meant to bring us together. It's called social media. But what it's done is, in fact, isolate us. And I
Yes.
think we need a solution for that.
We do need a solution, and that's called getting out and bumping into people.
Yes.
Be silly together. Say things that you're not proud of in the intimacy of friendship. Have different opinion and have a debate. I think debates are very healthy, and especially when you can carry them at a certain level, you understand that, hold on, I'm so biased that I haven't been able to see my bias, and now this person in front of me is able to show me what I haven't been able to see. So yes.
Yeah, we're not supposed to agree with everything that everybody else says.
No.
You know, you want to disagree with your friends. That's what makes you friends. You know, you that makes you stronger. That makes the friendship that much stronger because you have different opinions, different experiences, right?
But I think the same idea of what you've just mentioned, we can take it and apply it onto the family perspective, where nowadays the resilience in a couple, in a family, is so little, where when things don't work out, you go and divorce rather than find a way and fix it. I think 40, 50 years ago, the divorce rate was so much smaller because simply, oh, okay, we have a disagreement, let's go to sleep, we fix it tomorrow. But we fix it. It's not like, oh, we don't like each other anymore, we go and divorce. I don't have anything against divorce. But I think before you go and divorce someone, you have to try to do your absolute best with your current spouse. So it's exactly the same thing with a debate, where I've seen it firsthand. I've tried to have the discussion evolved into a debate, and the moment when you can't understand there is another point of view to the current discussion, there is not much to discuss about, right? Because if it's just your way and you can't accept any other argument, then what is it to discuss about?
Then basically what happens is that person, right, they either get angry and they get emotional, and to me that's when you lose points in a debate. Right? You can't let that get in. You know, a debate is an intellectual. It's an intellectual exercise.
Yes.
You know, where people can connect from the mind. And you know, that's what's happening all the time now online, and it's happening behind anonymous names, where people will say mean and nasty things that they would never say to somebody's face. They'd be way too afraid to say something to their face. You know?
Not even necessarily in their face. They wouldn't articulate the same ideas if someone was able to find out it's them.
Right.
As long as you carry your own tag, you wouldn't articulate the same ideas. But because you're anonymous, you're once again a keyboard warrior.
I agree. Something interesting, right? Like just changing gears a little bit, still talking about AI and internet. You know, back in 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it was all about technical guys, software engineers, computer scientists. You and I are both generalists, idea guys. Well, Sam Altman just wrote a paper saying this is the era of the idea guy. Because if you have an idea, now it's so easy to be able to make that come to fruition without having any coding skills, without having any software skills. You can code by prompt. Yes. You can build a website in less than a minute. You can adjust your website if you find traffic is moving in different directions. If people aren't clicking buttons that you want, you can make adjustments on the fly by prompt. So I think now is a time for anybody who can make a business. You know, if you have an idea, you can implement it. All you need to do is download an app and do a quick, 5 or 10 minute learning course on how to build, and you're a builder. You know?
Yes. The only difficult part is that not all idea guys want to actually get things implemented. It's so nice to talk about big ideas, but the moment when it comes to actually implementing it, you will find all the excuses in the world to not get them done.
That's true.
I'm sure you met dozens of people that talk a big game, but when it comes to walk the walk, they are far away from it. So I agree with you.
Okay.
It is the moment of idea guys to actually, the idea guys who actually want to do something, the reason why they haven't done it is either lack of funding or lack of knowledge, not knowing how to build the stuff, to code the stuff. That's not an excuse anymore. You can do with Cursor or Replit or Lovable for $20 a month.
Exactly.
If you are an idea guy, you will be able to allocate 100 ringgit to actually pay for that subscription that ideally will pay for it for itself in 6 months a year. So this is going to be the differentiator between men and boys,
Yes.
where who wants to actually do something doesn't have the excuse, oh, but I don't know how to code. Because now everybody, you don't need to know how to
Right,
code.
now you can
and-
put your money where your mouth is.
Yes, yes. So it's going to be a very interesting world, which is going to bring a lot of new talent. It's going to bring a lot of new opportunities, things that we haven't even thought about.
Okay.
I am not necessarily the most creative individual. So for me to have access to the VO3 from Google wouldn't necessarily upfront directly wouldn't come up with much, because I have to lean onto my creativity to be able to start generating the videos and put them together and things like that. But someone who had the ideas and is very creative, but he didn't have the resources to go and hire an animation team and everything else that you need, now that person is going to flourish having a tool like that, right? So I think it's very important, first of all, to do some internal, to sit with yourself for a while and see what do you like, what are you good at, what do you want to do for a longer and extended period of time. Because the one thing that people forget to mention when it comes to entrepreneurship is that it takes a lot of time up front. You are no guarantee that you will succeed.
And a lot of work.
Absolutely. Yes, because if you play Candy Crush in that time up front, you're not going to be successful. But yes, a lot of time and a lot of work up front with no guarantee that you will be successful. And we're coming back to everyone wants it easy and now. Everyone wants to be a YouTuber because they've seen MKBHD reviewing phones and laptops, and oh my God, I want the latest phone and the latest laptop. Let's go and buy them and review them. And you get 6 views or 18 views, and that's okay, because all of us, we got 6 views first. I still post videos now that I get 12 views, and that's okay, because this for me, it's an add-on, right? But would I get demotivated by getting 12 views? If this is my passion, yes, for sure. If I sacrifice 6 months worth of budget to save for a phone that I review and I got 18 views and 2 bad comments, yes, for sure. So that's the one part that people fail to understand. Going back to Mr. Beast, it took him 5 years to reach 1 million subscribers, and it took him another 5 to reach 100 million.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
In the first, the numbers are out, right? After the first year, he had like 200 subscribers, and he was recording a video thanking 200 subscribers by name.
Right.
Right? But that's the work that it takes. And you post hundreds of videos before you actually have a big hit. And people forget all of this. Why? Because they're seeing Instagram with top 1% of population at the top 1% of their best days. Nowadays, I've seen that there are more people crying and doing other stuff for attention. So you don't know how much it's actually
Victimization.
legit. Yes. But yes, if you have ultra high expectations for zero input, you are destined to be disappointed. So I think that's where the work actually begins. Understanding that is a goal. That's the goal. I want to be successful in 20 years from now. Okay, what do I have to do? What sort of strategy do I have to implement? And this is probably in your field, definitely in finance. You set up a journey of 20 years for your kids to go to university, and you review it once a year, once every 6 months, and you follow the journey. Is the analogy that I came up with. It's like you drive from KL to Singapore. You set your destination on Waze, and you start driving.
Right.
But it's not a straight line. Maybe you have a storm and you have to take a pause for a minute. Maybe you have a crash on the highway and you have to take a detour. These are things that you hope will not happen, but you're not setting up for 400 kilometer journey without having a spare wheel. You are making sure that you're reviewing your car before you do all of this, right? This is preparation. It's not pure belief that, oh, it's going to work out. It's going to be a smooth journey. It's going to be fine. Maybe it's going to be fine, but in case it's not, we have to make sure that we're ready for it.
There's always unknowns.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get back before we wrap up, because I want to wrap up pretty soon. I know it's getting late, but you have you gave us your seven stack pyramid for yourself, right?
Yes.
If you were to give just a quick description of like line by line for the average individual, what would you say are the best and safest investments? And then you can wrap up by telling everybody where they can find you, maybe your website.
All right.
Okay. How would you do that?
Go and discuss with the financial advisor, full disclosure. The reason why I'm saying that is because maybe what's safe for me is not safe for you and vice versa. But emergency buffer, keep it away from your daily funds if you can't control yourself. From life insurance, if you're an expat, look for international life insurance. If you're living within your own bubble in your own country, you definitely are better to go for local life insurance because 9 out of 10 is cheaper. From college savings, ideally try to save in the currency that you are going to send your child to university. If you are Filipino living in the Philippines and your child is going to university in the Philippines, so that's the expectations, maybe you want to diversify a bit of funds to save in a stronger currency just to outweigh any sort of risk. Retirement, it's very similar with the sort of education part where you as you're heading towards retirement age, you want to have more fixed income perspectives and less exposure to equity. Equity represented stock and share. And usually you try to denominate as much as you can in the currency that you're planning to retire. Again, it's good to have a basket because even if you retire in Malaysia, you will still travel to the US or to Europe. So having those funds will help. Now, from an investment perspective, you don't have to be a genius when it comes to the way how you allocate the funds. You can simply look at ETFs with good tracking performance. Yes, it's scary. Yes, the news. Yes, this and that and the other. But until something else is better, you are better doing that than anything else. You can, as soon as you start getting a grasp of it, you can start adding funds to Europe. So here we're talking US. You start adding funds to Europe or to Asia, regardless if it's China, Singapore, Vietnam, whatever is going to be. But adding as a percentage rather than just go all in on a specific economy, geographic sector, regardless of how you're going to split it. But just start doing something, because at the end of the day, you start doing something for yourself and for your future self more than anything else. So I don't know if that actually covered what you were hoping to get out of that. But if you are in a situation where you feel like you need help and you don't know where to start or what to do, and you want to reach out, just go to bratucapital.com and ping me a message. More than happy, either me or my team, to reach back and just organize a meeting. Complimentary meeting for friends and family.
Cool. Oh, good. Thanks. And do you have any personal website or socials or anything like that people?
Yeah, Bratu Capital on all the socials, from TikTok to YouTube, Instagram. I'm trying to break down financial lessons for everyone to understand. Personal website is Ciprian Bratu, but Bratu Capital is good for now.
Chip, thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
Really good to have you come in. All right, pleasure. Let's wrap it up, folks.